All right, time to do a quick update. Not really an update on the villain project, but since it's the first thing we see here, we'll touch base on it. I picked up an 8.8 for it. It's probably going to need some love. We're going to have it shortened. And I do not believe it's a posi, so we'll have to see. We have brake parts for it over here. Interior parts for the square body as well, which I'm going to have to take those out and have wrapped in suede, black suede, I believe. This thing is up on jack stands now just because we're taking measurements. It's going to get moved over to the bay the truck is in when the truck gets a little closer. Paint prep and whatnot, it'll be outside. New wheels for the truck, newer wheels. I bought them used. They need to be polished up and whatnot, cleaned and polished. Let's get over here to the truck. Last time we saw it, it had the floors cut out, or excuse me, one side of the floor cut out, and the other side needed to be cut out. Now, excuse me on how long it took to get back to the video on this. I've been doing some things, been busy with work, trying to get money coming in. So this side basically is almost done. I think I need to do a little bit of touch up here and there. There was a couple spots I didn't weld completely. But this got the floor and the rocker. You see, I noticed we have got really soft in the last couple of years. When I started body work on this a couple of years ago, it wasn't like that. And it's horrible. So I cut out the corners out of my little part floor pan, and I will be replacing corners, but I want to get these rockers, and see, I got to do some more love right there, get the rockers and the floors finished up. There's the old passenger side rocker, which is alright, just had a little bit of surface rust on it. And then it's got really soft up front, so that's why I cut it out. And there's no reason just to cut out and replace that little bit when I have gorgeous rockers outside. So this has not been cut down to fit yet, but here's the rocker that's going on it. Gorgeous. That little bit of paint missing is the only flaw on it. Like I say, it's pretty much to size, but I haven't cut it down yet. And this guy is almost done. Still have to finish it up here and there. And I'm not going to grind everything and make sure all the welds are perfect, because I'm going to be putting like a sound deadener, like a Dynamat style sound deadener on here. So I'll be taking care of that. And I have to, you notice the fenders are off. I had to take this fender off to do the little rocker replacement up here. I took it way up around the, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's the body support there, the A-pillar, because it had a little rust on it. It was a little soft. The front part wasn't, but I just took it off anyway. Yeah, and you see it needs to be finished up in here. And this side's not horrible, but I'm still cutting it off just because, like I say, I have a decent set of corners that I cut off that spare or parts floor pan outside that I had. I have another one over there for the driver's side. Now that engine stand, I need to, off subject, but I need to get that engine on it over there, which is the 355 I just got back from the machine shop. Because this is the original project that started all my turbocharged dreams and hopes and nightmares. Was the 85 Suburban square body. It's was basically an 86 Corvette 350, aluminum heads, yada yada, 2-port injection, and I just slapped a GT45 kit on it. And we wrestled with the stock computer and harness and whatnot for a little while until I swapped it over to a Mega Squirt, and it was running a 400 turbo in it for a while too. Now the paint's gone to shit. It's completely oxidized. It hasn't been doing anything but sitting for the last like 4 years. I drove it a little bit 3 or 4 years ago, and then we were having oil pressure issues, which I swapped, I don't know, it's been a while, at least 3 high volume, high pressure oil pumps into it, and we still had the same issue. So I pulled the engine out and sent it into the shop, have it worked over. The engine was fine. So it turns out that from the stock of oil pumps that I was getting, we just had rusted, the bypass valves was rusted. So I have a freshly machined small block down here. You could say it's just a 355, but I have pistons for it, and we have some Vortec heads. We could build another small block if we wanted. And actually, those aren't Vortec heads. He said they were, but with the bolt pattern, that's not a Vortec. Which is good, actually, because then I can use this little piece of shit intake we have. We might slap another engine together just on account of. Okay. Back to some mo shit and some mo shit. Yeah, like I say, I decided to go a little farther. We're going to do kind of a restoration, leave the cab on the frame. The bed will come off. I'm going to jack it up later on so I can get to the cab corners, and then I'll probably shove it outside, because this thing, it runs, but the fuel system is out of it. We have the fuel tank right here, sending unit, fuel lines, yada yada. I want to paint the frame before I install all that stuff. So I have to pressure wash it, clean it up. I'll probably pull the bed off. I will pull the bed off. It'll be easier. And then I can shoot the underside of the bed while it's on some sawhorses out here. And then I can shoot the frame and whatnot. I'll shoot the firewall. It's just going satin black. Nothing special. This thing had a real cheesy touch-up job on the engine compartment years ago, where we just shot the inner fenders and didn't really pay much attention to shit. Just gave it a cleaner appearance. But now I'm going to clean it up drastically and make it look good in here. It's a mess right now. I got wires everywhere with everything pulled apart. Excuse me, could use an aluminum radiator. This is the original one, and it leaks somewhere in the 3/4 area. It gets about a little over half full, and it'll eventually, I imagine it would leak itself all the way out if it had enough pressure or whatnot, but we've always just kept up on the water or whatnot. But like I say, about 3/4 the way up is where the leak is. Now, you guys don't comment on any of this stuff too often, so I don't know what you guys want to see, what you don't want to see. That's why I just take pictures of stuff that I have to do and take pictures of it after the fact. Now, this last couple weeks have kind of gotten away from me, so I haven't done much with the truck. I've gotten as far as you see, but I took the 54 out for a dyno run a couple weeks back, so just doing unnecessary shit. But the last few days I decided the truck needs to be wrapped up. It's been a long enough project. It's just a work truck, but it's been a long enough project. I'm tired of looking at it in the state it's in. Now, for now, it's just a single GT45, which I'm sure some people are going to whine about the back pressure on. But for what it is, work tow truck in town, this thing isn't going to see too much on the higher end, high range horsepower. So not much wide open throttle, yada yada. We still have, if you look in here, we still have the stock granny speed 4-speed transmission in here. So we're going to see how well that does. excuse me, granny geared 4-speed. It's really a 3-speed tranny. You never use first unless you're climbing up a building, which it will do. These things are good for climbing up the sides of hills at an idle. Yeah, like I say, you guys don't comment on much, so I don't know what you want to know about. But here she is. Nice and cozy. Look at those primaries, big monsters. This thing should do well. It should be about a 750 horsepower engine, which is going to be just fine for what it is. If it needs more, we can upgrade the turbo, or we can compound boost it. Upgrading it, obviously, is the easiest route to go. So yeah, I will get this thing all cleaned up and we'll get her all blasted. We ran over a little metal flake on our tires, so it's a little sparkly. Has some fairy dust on her here and there. Yeah. So you see what it is. And you see those new wheels we have, which are quite an improvement from these old turds. These aren't the worst, but they're nothing special. I was going to powder coat them white and call it good. But, like I say, it's nothing special. And we have the LED tail lights, LED lights on all the corners. The only thing we haven't upgraded yet was headlights. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with them. So here we are. Just about done. And I will get rid of all this yellow. Yellow be gone. So the cab is going to get the upgraded TMI interior from LMC. I believe it's TMI. So I'm still going to spray the inside of the cab satin black just to get rid of all the ugly yellow. But most of it's going to be covered. So I have dashes, or excuse me, I do have dashes, but we won't be using them in here. I have gauges over there that I have to get installed. So stock gauge cluster is out of here. It's going to have aftermarket gauges in it. Yeah, I don't know what else we want to see. We're going to get that knocked out, and then we'll get back to DeVillin, which is a pretty good project. It's pretty killer. It's pretty much wrapped up as far as the engine goes. We just have to finish bolting things together. We have to get some turbo drains on the oil pan. Yeah. We have to get those meats underneath the ass end of the car, so that's why it was up on jack stand, so I could get some measurements. But it looks like I'm possibly going to have to notch the frame, which isn't that big of a fucking deal. It still just has to be done. So, and we have engine mount, I guess you would call it a mid-mount plate. Just one style I bought. I have a couple other options in here, and I have a 2-piece front plate. The engine and transmission is going to be mounted solid, and I believe we're going to scoot it back. So here's our, actually let's go out here. I'm not going to pop the hood on this. I suppose I could. We probably have 6 inches or better. We can scoot this engine back. This one's not going anywhere, but that one will. All right, sorry. One of the guys showed up. I had to bullshit for a minute, so you can see back here. It's going to be hard slapping those meats in here, which is going to be an issue we'll have to come across when we get her over into the other bay. This side isn't really for working on. I mean, I can do light shit over here. I can work on whatever I want over here if I wanted, but I don't like to. That's the working bay. These are storage bays, so to speak. Next thing I'd like to do is I have my 65 convertible, which has been in bare metal like this. It's been, I don't know, way too long. I haven't touched it for years. It's got airbags, four-wheel disc brakes. I had a fresh 472, nice painted engine, chromed out. I ended up giving it to my kid. He got a boat that he could use it in. And 472 just doesn't do it for me anymore. It's a cool engine. But now that I'm running boosted everything, it just, I don't know, it's more of a run-of-the-mill. And as far as this guy goes, I'd like to put an LS in it. And I'm thinking maybe a carbureted LS? I don't know. I have a two-wheel drive 4L60 over here. This just needs a few more. I need to finish stripping it. I'm going to shoot it in clear, drive it around, put some mirror tinted windows on it, so it'll just look like a big shiny piece of chrome rolling down the road. Stock hubcaps, you get those polished up, they look nice and shiny. It's a mess, but I have some Galaxy buckets to put in here. Stock hubcaps, you can see, I mean, we are buried in parts. Extra steering column, steering wheels. We're just buried in parts in this thing. And I stopped working on it when I was on the airbags. I got a piece of metal in my eye and actually almost ended up losing an eye. So I haven't really touched it since. It needs to have the firewall shaved. And like I say, I don't know who owned it before, like a little old lady, but it basically has a dent on every panel on this thing. So it needs some body work, but I'll take care of all that. It's a nice rust-free car, though. It's buried, but it is a nice rust-free car. I had one spot of rust you see right there, and I have to look it over. It might have some more that showed up on it, but like I say, though, you see every fucking panel has a dent on it. Oh, and there's another tiny little pinhole. We'll have to take a look at it. And I welded the holes up on this years ago on this side, which I probably shouldn't have done until I did all the damn body work. I was just trying to make some progress on it, yada yada. But yeah. Okay, and here's our fuel system, I believe. We should have everything we need for the truck. We just need motivation, need to get her wrapped up. So I have a cheap little 4 to 6 inch lift kit on the way, which I don't know. I don't really want to lift this thing, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to just for tire clearance up here. We'll see, but I'm pretty damn sure it's going to be necessary with those new tires. They barely rub with these ones. Excuse me when I turn it all the way. Some wastegates. And we'll have to see how this guy does. I haven't really been too anxious, but now I'm starting to get anxious. I want to get her on the damn dyno. Anyway, that's enough for now. You see the basic gist of it. Pile of shit. Not enough done. Again, Suburban engine. Short block. Suburban parts. Which we used to have. Last set of heads we had on there was trick flow splayed valves. And they were just a fucking pain in the ass. Always had to adjust them, yada yada. And I also got rid of them because, like I say, we were dealing with that oil pressure issue in the Suburban. I just wasn't 100% sure that those weren't part of the issue. I don't know. You can't really see in there too much, but they are fucking gutted. They have been ported the fuck out. Yeah, we'll get to this engine, but there's a big pile of parts, and the Suburban's actually going to be a compound project now. We have some twin 3582s down here. I have not gotten another turbo. I'm not sure what I want to use for the big side. I'm thinking S485 or 488. I'm not sure though. So we have our two GT45s, two more GT45s. That's all I have left over. So that's what we're going to use on the villain project. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, you see the mess of shit I got to install. A couple truck parts left, big stack of caddy parts, and a mess around everything. Yeah, so there it is. We've been doing some things though, just not the appropriate things. Now we're going to dedicate all the energy to that to get it mostly finished before we moved on to the next project. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave some comments below so I know what you guys want to see. If I don't hear anything, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. Take pictures of what I need to do and take pictures of what I've done. Yeah, wheeze out.